a security breach so big it shook the entire cryptoverse. A breach that even made Forbes' list of top 10 biggest financial heists of all time. The question is, how did this happen? It all started with one simple transaction. On February 2nd, someone sent 600 ETH from a popular exchange called KuCoin to what we now know as the Ronin network. This was unusual simply because the blockchain was public. Anyone could see the transaction and its destination. In fact, the Ronin network was only meant to be used for internal transfers between the game's publisher, Sky Mavis, and their users. It shouldn't have been publicly accessible. But there was a bigger problem than just a simple slip-up. When the funds arrived, they were immediately drained out through several different transactions, hundreds of millions of dollars worth. And before anyone could do anything about it, the hacker had vanished. The people who lost money in this hack are some of the biggest names in crypto. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong lost $1.1 million. Crypto hedge fund Three Arrows Capital lost $30 million. And the VC firm Andreessen Horowitz lost more than $150 million. But compared to the individual investors who lost their life savings, these guys got off easy. So how did this happen? How could a bunch of multimillionaires miss something like this coming? Well, to understand that, let's take a step back and look at what Ronin even is. Ronin is the blockchain-based infrastructure behind Axie Infinity, a play-to-earn game where users can battle for prizes. And to play, you have to buy an NFT pack, which gives you access to special characters called Axies. These NFTs can then be traded or sold for real money. So, it's not surprising that during the pandemic, when people were stuck at home and bored, Axie's popularity exploded. At one point, there were 2.8 million daily active users. That's more than the entire population of Canada. But while the game was fun, the real draw was the promise of making money. There were lots of articles written about how Axie Infinity could help people earn enough money to get themselves out of poverty. And given that the game was free to play, many saw it as a risk worth taking. After all, how bad could it be? Well, as it turns out, quite bad. See, while Axie's user base exploded, the Ronin team didn't exactly keep up with demand. As more and more users signed up, more and more load was placed on the network, and by late 2021, things were starting to slow down. Users complained about how long it took to complete a transaction. Sometimes it took 10 minutes, sometimes it took hours, and that's when the Ronin team decided to make a change. They introduced a system called the Ronin Node program, which allowed certain computers to validate transactions and get rewarded for doing so. Now, typically, this kind of system would be open to anyone willing to participate, but in this case, the Ronin team handpicked a group of 21 people they trusted and gave them full access to the network. This is a big no in the world of crypto. Whenever someone tries to centralize a blockchain, bad things happen. But the Ronin team thought they were being smart about it. After all, these were just 21 random people from the internet. What could possibly go wrong? Turns out quite a lot. You see, one of those 21 people was compromised, either hacked or coerced into giving up their keys. And when that happened, the entire network was at risk. To make matters worse, because the network was still relatively new, there was no activity history to detect abnormality, and that's how this hack went undetected for months. Even after the stolen funds were moved to centralized exchanges, the Ronin team didn't sound the alarm. It was until March, when someone tried withdrawing large amounts of money and the withdrawal was rejected, that the team realized something was wrong. When they finally checked the blockchain, it was too late. The damage was done and the money was gone. But this wasn't over yet. When the news broke out, panic ensued. Investors began dumping their Axie NFTs for whatever money they could get. The price of small fry plummeted, and within days, $2.6 billion had vanished. In the aftermath, the Ronin team took some pretty big hits. They were fined $275 million by the US government, and in December, their CTO was arrested for allegedly laundering some of the stolen funds. As for the rest of the money, it's still out there somewhere. The FBI has a reward of up to $10 million for any information that leads to the recovery of these funds. But so far, nobody has come forward with anything useful. This breach shook up the entire cryptoverse and put a spotlight on something many investors refuse to admit: the fact that crypto can be centralized. It just depends on whether those running it want it to be. How to build your own app on a blockchain and how to launch your own token in under an hour. What do you think? Should the Ronin team have known this was gonna happen? Comment your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. We'll see you next time.